Are you an international student wanting to study medicine in the UK? Well, if so, this video is for you. I'm Akshara, I'm 17, and I'll be studying medicine at King's College London in September. Applying to medical school takes a long time, about a 1-year process, in fact, even more. Therefore, as an international student, I believe it's really important to be prepared and to be ahead of the game. Medicine in the UK follows a September to June schedule, and you'll have your summer break. Generally, students will apply to medical school during their last year of school in the 12th year, where they're going to be applying in September, October, and will follow that process and eventually get their offers for medical school around March, April, May, June. Also waiting for the confirmation of their grades. You'll get an unconditional offer in the summer. Now, this might vary depending on your school and your country, how you might end school maybe earlier, and if you want to take a gap year or not. Kind of difficult at first to figure out when you would like to apply to medical school, but that's also why it's best to be prepared. So how do you apply to the UK? There's this program called UCAS where you're going to be filling out your applications. Almost everything is going to be within that program. You're going to get your offers from schools. Schools might personally reach out to you for interviews and for giving their own information out. But mainly for applying, you're going to be using UCAS. There is a deadline each year by which you must apply for medical school through UCAS. Basically, in the UCAS, they're gonna ask you just a few details, but also several few things, like they're gonna ask you for work experience. Now let's talk about grades. So I had to submit my grade 11 grades, as well as submit grade 12 predicted grades. I was in the beginning of my grade 12 year. I wasn't finished with my grade 12 year and I didn't have any grades. Therefore, I had to ask a few teachers to give me my predicted grades. When it's about time to submit, you don't want to be under the average grade that you need because you don't want to stress over the fact that you might not be able to get in because of your grades. Not only trying to target for specific schools, but just trying to keep up those grades is really important. Well, King's College London requires a 90% average to get in, 85% in biology and chemistry as well. On that note, make sure to take your sciences, specifically biology and chemistry. Mine was through the Alberta diploma, that's how mine worked. So if you're already ahead and wondering what schools you're going to apply to, go ahead and check the website and see their entry requirements for grades and other things as well. The next thing that sets off the UK a little bit differently from other schools and other medical programs is the UCAT. Generally, to get into medicine, you're going to have to do an entrance exam. And in the UK, that's the UCAT. The UCAT consists of 5 different categories. The first one, verbal reasoning. Second one, decision making. Third, quantitative reasoning. Fourth, abstract reasoning. Fifth, situational judgment. Each of these is scored out of 9,000, except the situational judgment, which will give you a band based on how many questions you've got right. So you might get a band 1, band 2, band 3, or band 4. Try to get a band 1 or 2. Schools will be needing generally a band 1 or band 2. Band 3 is sometimes acceptable, but generally not, which is why I think it's really important to work on the situational judgment and make sure you get a band 1 or band 2. As an international student, it's more competitive, so it's really important to do well on the UCAT. It's really important to work on that first because then you can decide what schools will consider your UCAT well if you've done good, and if you haven't done as well, then you can apply to schools that don't weigh that as much. Someone had told me in the past that as an international student to be competitive, you should try to aim for 2,800 or higher so that you will stand out. For practicing the UCAT, there are many online resources. You can use the UCAT website itself, or Medify, or Medic Portal, and there's so much out there that you can do with the UCAT, which I'll make another video on. However, just in the UCAT in general, preparation-wise, you should be giving it at least 6 weeks of time. I did not follow that. I crammed it all in 2 weeks, and it luckily worked out for me, but I do suggest that's a bad idea. You know, practice each different category like a day. What happened to me was when I was good at decision making, I'd start to struggle with quantitative reasoning or abstract reasoning, and suddenly when I was working on that and I did better than that, then I'd fall down in decision making. So it's really important to balance. Let's say you are better at one section, take advantage of it, because generally schools will look at your overall score that you've got on the UCAT, not what you've got section by section. However, some schools do choose that way as well. After you're done your UCAT, the next step is your personal statement. I believe that you should finish your UCAT first and then start working on your personal statement. However, if you want to spend more time on your personal statement, trying to like do drafts and refine it, then you can start working on that in the summer. This would be in your grade 11 summer before you apply in grade 12. Something I realized about the personal statement is to not stress too much. I gave myself very little time because I did my UCAT in the beginning of September and only had a few weeks to start doing my personal statement, and I saw a lot of people on the internet doing a lot more. They had written theirs since like the May before, people even the year before. Most schools don't put too much weightage on their personal statement. However, this will make you stand out. In your personal statement, you're going to be talking about why medicine, which is a big thing that you're going to be asked in your interviews, in your personal statement. With that, you're going to be giving supporting evidence, such as your work experience, your initial spark, extracurriculars. When I was writing my personal statement, not only did I talk about why medicine, I also gave examples of my extracurriculars that would help me gain skills, which would be important in medicine as a career as a doctor. Really reflect and show them what skills you've learned that will be really important in medicine. And what do you do outside of trying to study for medicine, studying for school, just to share them a little bit more about who you are. And this will be submitted through the UCAS application as well. There'll be another video on my personal statement as well, and how I went around with that. Next thing is your reference letter. Now, your reference letter is really important because you're going to have to ask a teacher, a math or science teacher, or a principal, or someone who knows you well, to share a little bit information about you and why you're fit for the medical program. You might have wanted to do this a little bit ahead of time, so I asked during my first week of school, I went up immediately to my teacher and asked her for my reference letter, and make sure your teachers have time to fill out that reference letter. You only need one reference letter. Personal statement and reference letter have a limited amount of characters, which is really important to consider. That's why it takes a lot of time to write everything. This information must also be shared with our teacher. With your personal statement, UCAT, academic grades, your grade 11 grades and predicted grades, and your personal statement, you are basically set to apply to medical school, and you will wait to hear back from any schools for an interview. Now, the interview is a huge step in the process of getting into medical school. Interviews can range from MMI or panel interviews. A few of my interviews were MMI, and only one of them was a panel interview. MMI is going to be more common, which in an MMI, you're going to be seeing different stations and different interviewers, which might last around 6 to 8 minutes each. This is to see if you're fit for medicine, have experience, and are able to communicate well. They will ask you lots of different things about your interest in medicine again, your work experience, extracurriculars, what do you do for fun, what do you do to de-stress, ethics questions, NHS hot topics, current events, personality questions. There's a lot to that, but I think it's important not to stress out too much. I waited till I got interview offers from schools to start preparing. However, that might not be a good idea sometimes as well. Let's say you hear from the school and your interview has been set for the following week. Now you only have 1 week to prepare. It's really important here to stand out, as this is where they're going to be comparing you with other applicants, and there might be a few things schools do differently. But that's everything you need to know about applying to medical school and how you should prepare for it in the right timeline. Follow for more, as I'm going to be making more videos on applying to medical school, as well as how I applied as an under 18 and further as well.